Hey guys, welcome to another video. You can kind of see we're already putting the transmission back in, and there's some other things we did in between while the transmission was out. I realized that I recorded those on my cell phone, my old Windows phone, way too late. So I'm just kind of putting that in and calling this episode 3.5. So hopefully this information is useful for it. You could kind of skip over it. The part 4 shows us putting the tranny back in. But if you enjoy it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Okay, so once the transmission's out of the truck, you want to make sure that you get it level, and that's so that when you're filling it up with fluid, you get the right amount, because if it's not level, it won't be the right amount. And you should have drained it when you first started, before you got it out, but if you haven't, this is the drain plug. It's pretty easy. It says drain, and then also it says fill, so you just remove the drain plug, and then drain it, and then to fill it, you remove the fill plug. Before we do that, before we fill it up, we're going to go ahead and inspect the gears and the synchros inside. That just happens by removing this plate. When you're already in here, I've already loosened up the bolts, so I'll just take those out. But basically, since you already have it out, it's a good idea just to check everything. Without fully disassembling it, it's going to be hard for you to really do a good inspection, but at least you can see if any of the synchro teeth are worn out or anything like that. So this might take a little bit of prying. I just kind of use this. They've got a nice pry spot there and another one right here, and you can get it out. But I've already loosened it off, so it just comes right out. These are your shifting forks. So when you move the lever, that's how it actually causes you to shift gears. And that's where they sit. So what you want to be looking for is where inside of here. And you can see there's a little bit, but not anything that you would want to be worried about. And then you're looking at these teeth, these brass kind of colored teeth, to make sure they're not worn at all. You can see if I spin it here, and then I put a little bit of pressure, it locks in one way or the other. That's kind of how it operates. But yeah, as well, so that's, I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's first, second, and third. And then down in here is where you're going to find your reverse gear, and then down below these three. I don't know if you're able to see them, but that's where the other ones are. So yeah, inspect your synchro teeth. Make sure there's no filings in the bottom. You don't want to see any metal filings in here. It should be very clean, other than just a little bit of residual fluid. And then basically once you're done that, I would really recommend not messing around in here too much. So we're just going to put her back together. Recording?
Yep.
Okay, so once you're ready, you just put it back in. I'll line it back up again. And it should kind of just sort of sit right back on just like that. You're going to throw all your bolts in, and then you want to torque this to 14 foot-pounds. So first thing you do is remove the drain plug. It's a 24 millimeter. That's the size. So once you've broken that loose, you just pull it out. And the only reason I'm taking it out again is because I forgot to put this little gasket back in. You want to make sure you don't lose any of that stuff. Makes it have a good seal. And you can see it might have some kind of buildup on it like that. That's not too bad. It's not the end of the world. It's not maybe ideal that you want to see that. These are magnetic, so they pull all the filings out. So there's a little tiny bit of wear in there, which isn't a good thing. But that's how it goes. So I'm just going to wipe that off. I think you should probably put, I don't know what type of grease, but usually they put a bit of grease on there so it helps catch anything that gets attracted to it. And then you just stick it back in. And I should check what the torque spec is for that. So you want to tighten this back into 35 pound-feet. That's the torque spec. And the same will go for the fill plug as well. So once you've got this in and torqued, the next thing you're going to want to do is remove the fill plug. Okay, looks just like that. For this transmission, we're using Royal Purple Synchromax. I've heard a lot of good things about it. It's supposed to stick to the gears a little bit better, handle more heat. I figure in a manual transmission you should basically never have to change it, so you might as well use the good stuff. They come with these handy little nice shaped, I don't know what you would call that.
Spout.
Squishy thing.
Squishy thing.
You can buy like a hose that you hook up to it, so you can do this when you're underneath the truck, because this is all up in there, and then you kind of squeeze and it pumps it in. But in this case, it's handy for us. We can just stick it right in like this, and then we just go in. Is it coming out? No, because you got to cut the top. Okay, so basically you just fill this up until it overflows, and that's how you know when it's good. This is happening. Ooh, we can see it. It's purple. Looks kind of black, actually. It's like brick drink. Okay, so what we're looking for while we do this is we want to see it just start to leak out of there. So I'm going to stick a rag under it so I don't make a mess of my wooden bench. And there it is. That is full. Good to go.
Action.
Okay, so once you get in here, there's two major things that you want to look for. The first thing is this kind of leaky fluid that you got there. If you can see that darker spot, I don't know if it comes through in a camera, but it's also up here. It's kind of all the way around. That means something's leaking. So it's either the seal coming from the transmission, or else it's the master cylinder. In this case, I'm pretty sure it's the master cylinder, because that's why we're in here, is to swap it. It's been causing, basically making it really hard to shift. So I'm going to kind of try and check and see if it smells like tranny fluid, or if it smells like brake fluid, which is what they use for the hydraulic clutch. But regardless, to take this thing out, you just got two bolts right here, and you just take them out. They're 12 millimeter, and they're not too hard. Nothing special about taking this thing out.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so this is just going to slide right off. Not a problem at all. Basically, it's not riding on this surface whatsoever, so it's good to go. You do have this bearing here. I don't know if you can hear it, but I can tell that it's kind of worn down a little bit. It's probably got some clutch dust or something else in there, and it's a good time to change it. So another thing that you want to look at is watch for wear on this end of the shaft here. Probably grab some brake cleaner at some point, and we'll clean that right off. But that's where your pilot bearing, that's what goes into your pilot bearing, and that's pretty good. There's nothing really wrong with that, so we won't have to worry about it. But yeah, you want to inspect that. I'd recommend kind of cleaning the whole area in here up. And then if you do have to change this, now is the time. A lot of guys will just, it's the seal that, I don't even know what it's called honestly, but it's the seal that stops the fluid coming out of the transmission. I'm not going to change it here because I don't think there's anything wrong with it. This truck's not too high mileage, but a lot of guys will just do it because it's a cheap part. I think it's 20 bucks, and then at least you don't have to worry about it.
So these look quite different, the old one to the new one. What have we decided about how the new one should be installed?
Okay, so basically, for whatever reason, I think most new ones should look like this and have this boot on them. But basically, I'll pull this back. I can't really pull it out. There's a gray little dust shield right here that basically replaces what this boot does. So you can kind of see the gray dust shield that's right there. That thing. If you come look at this one again, Ian. So this rubber part, we pulled that down. And if you do pull this down, you'll be able to see there's no dust shield. So essentially this rubber thing used to be the dust shield. But obviously they found that this is a better design, and that's what they're going with. Hey guys, so as I'm recording this, I realized that I don't have any other footage. This is actually going to be the last video, so I mean, pretty much if you can get it out, everything goes back in the same way. I hope this video helped out with that, or this video series helped out with that. Kind of my first time making videos on YouTube, so I really appreciate you watching if you made it this far, and if you have questions, throw something in the comments and I'll try and get back to you. I also got to give a huge shout out to all the guys you saw helping me out there. Could not have done this without them, and they put a lot of time in. I think we basically spent our entire Thanksgiving weekend producing this. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it, and thanks for watching. You may wish to put anti-seize on these. I didn't bother just because there's not a lot of corrosion going on here. It's all aluminum, plastic, so I wasn't terribly worried about it. And they're not being overly tightened anyway.
And what are they being tightened to?
15 foot-pounds is the torque spec for these. To
Oh, what?
torque these guys to 15 foot-pounds. There we go.